I found this video that I think is worth having a conversation about. And before we get started, I just want to say I'm no subject matter expert on this, but I think it's worth having a conversation about. So this is very informal. I'm going to stop the video often. Sometimes I'm going to look up stuff, and it is what it is, and we'll go from there. All right. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. I think this is a good topic to have about neobanks. Have you ever heard of a neobank? Neobank is a financial company that offers banking style. Think about that. Banking style services, checking and savings account, debit card, budgeting tools, entirely online, usually through an app. Hence Chime, Zelle, things like that. Now, I don't know if all of these are neobanks, but these are just examples of how some people do their banking. But they have no physical branches. As I said, think Chime, Varo, Current, or SoFi in its early days. Now, yes, I'm reading notes. Most neobanks aren't actually banks in the legal charter sense. Instead, they partner with an actual FDIC chartered bank behind the scenes, the neobank app, and handles the customer relationship. But your money technically sits in an account at a partner bank, which is where the FDIC insurance is supposed to come from. Enough of that. Let's get into this. Oh, and by the way, this is brought to us by More Perfect Union. And if you don't want to watch this video, without all my ad libs, the link is in the description down below. Go check them out anyway, even if you do watch this video. They have a bunch of cool stuff on their channel.
A few months ago, I got an email about $100 million that was stolen from the bank accounts of everyday Americans, and almost all of it is still missing. I was intrigued, so I called the guy who emailed me. His name's Chad.
I was adding to it over time, so I think I was doing $50 a week or every 2 weeks or something.
He told me that in 2021, he opened a high-yield savings account at a new bank.
Meet Yatta. While most banks pay almost no interest on your savings, Yatta partners with banks that pay 15 to 100 times more.
I was expecting the same thing as what I had already had in my credit union, except the potential for greater interest returns.
But in 2024, something weird happened.
On May 12th and May 14th, I tried to pull $10,000 out of there, and it wouldn't let me.
Today, 2 full years later, he still hasn't been able to access his funds. I asked how much.
$23,419.21.
The most incredible part? Yatta said the money was FDIC insured. You may also have your emergency.
That's crazy if you think about it. A lot of businesses are using these online platforms to accept payments and stuff now. And even people in their personal days, if they want to have, accounts separate from their bank, but even when people are borrowing money, sending it back and forth, they let it sit in these Zelle accounts. And I'm using Zelle as an example. I don't know yet if they are a neobank. We'll look that up in a second. But a lot of people let their money sit in these accounts, and it makes me really realize we don't know where our money really is. I mean, imagine you ask me to hold some money for you, and you're thinking I have it somewhere safe, whether it's in a safe or I deposit it in my own bank account, but it's with me. And I go and tell somebody else, here, put this under your mattress. Now, they may have a more secure home or safe or whatever it is where they're storing the physical money, but do you know them? Do you trust them? And the fact that they know it's not my money, what is that? Does that incentivize them to secure it? Even though I may have a relationship with them, does that incentivize them to secure my money, knowing that it's not mine and it's yours, someone they have no relationship with at all? And $20-some thousand is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And here we go. When you see FDIC insured, we assume it's backed by the federal government. I assume it's common knowledge that people know it's up to $250,000, but does that even matter if it doesn't even apply?
Fund parked in a high-yield savings account and think that FDIC insured stamp means it's 100% safe. But what happened to Chad shows that might not be true. The story he told me was complicated and involved lots of names I'd never heard before.
I think mostly it was Evolve. Evolve will work with Synapse, moving money between Lineage and AMG and Evolve.
He said there were thousands of others in the same boat. I wanted to talk to them. So I posted on the Yatta subreddit. Within days, hundreds of people reached out and told me their stories, each unique, but also kind of the same.
I opened the bank account.
It was literally a savings account.
It was FDIC insured.
FDIC insured.
FDIC insured. I deposited over $100,000.
Now it's basically gone.
All my savings were gone.
This money's gone. Somebody stole it.
The money hasn't disappeared. The money's still is somewhere.
I find it really odd that a place could literally lose $100 million, take no responsibility.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How could millions of dollars in FDIC-insured deposits just disappear from a bank? As I started investigating, I realized that this story is so much bigger than Yatta. Silicon Valley billionaires are exploiting a loophole in our financial system that puts thousands of bank accounts at risk, including mine.
I started using Yatta in 2020.
I want to say it was back in 2021.
2019. I was kind of on the financial improvement path.
For the first time ever, as mid-30s millennials, my wife and I finally had a little bit of money that we can put into savings. So we were looking for a high-yield savings account.
Enter Yatta Savings.
A banking app that has a weekly drawing just like the lottery, except it's free.
It simply was a high-yield savings account that gamified savings.
When I hear high-yield savings account, it makes me think of like when people invest in the stock market and you start hearing like crazy double-digit returns over 10%. Like you start hearing 20, 30% returns. I mean, some scams, if I'm not mistaken, have gone to lie to people and say 50% returns, 100% returns. Is that possible? Sure, it's happened. Think of maybe when Facebook first came out, people in the early days who invested, obviously over time, they ended up getting 100% return on their investment, but those people are far and few. But in terms of a savings account, I think savings accounts are really like slow burn. They're not, if you think you're gonna get rich quick off of a savings account of any type, I think that's ridiculous. In order for you to make a stupid crazy amount of money, you'd have to put in a stupid crazy amount of money. Now, when I say stupid crazy, I don't mean like ignorant, but a large sum of money in order for the returns, because savings accounts you're basically loaning money to the bank. But I don't know let's see. What's a good interest rate on a high yield savings account? Yada, yada, yada. No pun intended. Right now, a good interest rate for a high yield savings account sits between 3.8 and 4.4 annual percentage yield, APY. Some specialty accounts or platforms with strict tier requirements might, keyword might, reach up to 5%. But they often limit that high rate to a specific balance cap, like only your first $5,000, or require a certain amount of monthly direct deposits. To put that in perspective, top high yield savings accounts, online banks, 3.8 to 4.4. National average, okay, catch this. National average is 0.4 to 0.6. That's a big difference. Now, the reason why I would suspect some of these non-brick and mortar or online banks are able to offer so much is because they don't have the same overhead as a traditional bank. They don't have the brick and mortar of a traditional bank. So they're able to share in the profits with these high yield savings accounts. Now that's national average rate, the 0.4 and 0.6. Traditional big banks, 0.01, 0.05. Why the difference matters. If you park $10,000 in a traditional bank account at 0.05%, you will only earn about $5 in interest over the entire year. If you move that exact same $10,000 into a solid high yield savings account at 4%, you'll earn roughly $400 over the year just letting it sit there. So, but when I just hear these crazy numbers that sound like stock market numbers, that would make me worry from the beginning. I almost expect it to be low.
For every $25 you have saved in your Yatta account, you get one U-ticket every single week.
Why not make savings fun?
If you don't win, you lose nothing. So no gambling at all. The biggest thing is like, oh, it's FDIC insured, so there's literally zero risk for your money.
I'm that user that will actually read the 30-page agreement. And I went through it before we joined the bank and was like, you know what, this checks out. It is FDIC insured.
FDIC insurance means if your bank fails, the federal government will pay you back for whatever you had in there, up to $250,000.
That was the ultimate guarantee. From that point on, I didn't really need anything else to insure me.
Initially, I put like 10K in, then put another 10K in after a few months.
I started up with an auto transfer for $25 a week.
Was this earmarked for anything in particular?
Yeah, I was saving up for a house.
It was literally my emergency fund.
Our family's emergency savings, $26K.
Almost $27,000.
Over $30,000.
$88,000.
Dude, it was 100K.
In May 2024, shit hit the fan.
I went to buy furniture. I had to pay $3,000 down. I try to use my Yatta debit card and it declines. And I'm like, that's strange. And I try again and I go into the app and it just isn't working.
Yatta emailed users saying their funds were frozen temporarily.
At first, I thought probably like a security thing, they'll probably be fine in like, a few days or a week or so. Like it's not unheard of for like PayPal or stuff like that. They have a temporary freeze.
But weeks later, nothing had changed.
And that's kind of when the email came in from Yatta saying, it isn't us, it's the payment processor. What do you mean? You're the bank. Aren't you the payment processor? Like, I'm depositing my money into Yatta.
This is when it became clear that Yatta is actually not a bank. It's a neobank.
This is why I know a lot of people that when they do use these accounts, they only let the money sit in there for so long and then they transfer it over to the actual bank account. Now, I know some people, they use them as sort of separate bank accounts, either because they can't get a bank account, they don't have a checking account, or a savings account, and it's an easy way where you can almost get it in same day. They'll give you a virtual card where you can purchase things online and stuff like that. And if there's somewhere that accepts tap, you can have the virtual card on your phone and then you can tap. So it gives you access to, so let's say you help somebody out and they write you a check or give you money, or well, I don't know if you can cash money, but they write you a check. You can go online, sign up for the account, take a picture. Now, I don't know if you can do the check thing the same day, but you can deposit cash and stuff like that. But transfer cash, transfer money over. But I know a lot of people that use these, even people that do have bank accounts, but businesses use them and then they transfer the money right over. They don't let it sit. But I'm curious how many even businesses are aware that some of these, because I know a lot of businesses that accept Zelle, a lot. Now, I don't know if Zelle is a neobank. Let's check that out right now. Is Zelle a neobank? Let's see. No, Zelle is not a neobank. Instead, Zelle is a digital payment network. Essentially a digital highway that lets you move money instantly between different bank accounts. Okay. Think of it like a neobank like Chime, SoFi, or Varo is the actual place where you store and manage your money. Zelle is just the tool you use to send some of that money to a friend. Okay, interesting. So neobank. What is a neobank? A digital-only banking platform. Zelle, a peer-to-peer payment network. Can you hold a balance? Yes. In a neobank, you can hold a balance. You get a checking and savings account and routing and account numbers. Zelle, no, it never holds your money. It just routes it from bank A to bank B. Does it issue cards? Neobanks, yes. They provide physical and virtual debit credit cards. Zelle, no. It links directly to your existing debit. how to use it to deposit your paycheck, pay bills, pay money, use a debit card, to instantly split a dinner bill, pay rent, or send money to friends and family. Okay, so there we go. There's the answer. So like, these neobanks like Chime, they are just, so they're a middleman, but they're masquerading as the mask. So they're able to promote. They're using the promotion of the FDIC insured from the banks that they're actually giving your money to. But you don't know that. You just know it as Chime and some of these other ones. And so you give your money to Chime. Chime takes it and gives it to a bank that they're partnering with, whom you have no idea who it is. Because just because they're FDIC insured doesn't necessarily mean that you want to give any bank your money. Let's say, I mean, that's why banks have credit ratings and ratings themselves. Let's say just because a home has insurance and you're going to rent an Airbnb, it doesn't mean you don't give a crap if the foundation is faulty or not. That's still going to matter. So that's good to know. So Zelle, they literally are just the conduit between. So they're the pass-through. So that they essentially, a neobank like Chime and Zelle, they do the same thing, but the window coverings is different. Zelle says, I'm not the bank. You give me your money and I'm handing it right to whoever's bank you send it to. So if you, on the other side of the screen, sends me money through Zelle, you send it through Zelle, and Zelle sends it right to my bank account. However, if you use like Chime or something, if you use like Chime or something, then Chime is taking your money and giving it to a bank of their choice to hold on your behalf and their behalf. So hopefully that makes sense.
Financial technology company, also known as a fintech. Basically, it's an app that does banky stuff like holding your emergency fund and paying you interest on it, but, and this is important, it doesn't have a bank charter. Now, you might be wondering, hey, shouldn't we have some sort of law against that? Well, we do. Under the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933, banks can't take customer deposits unless they have a bank charter. Yet all of these apps seem to do exactly that. How? It's all thanks to Peter Thiel. Back in the 2000s, multiple states were investigating PayPal for potentially operating an illegal bank because they were letting customers keep money in their PayPal accounts. But Thiel had a workaround. See, PayPal partnered with chartered banks, and they were the ones to actually hold the deposits, not PayPal. Thiel aggressively lobbied his case in Congress, and ultimately the FDIC agreed. PayPal was not a bank, so Glass-Steagall didn't apply. You probably have money in a neobank that works like this without even realizing it. For instance, do you bank with Chime? Well, your money is actually in one of these two banks. Current high-yield savings accounts are stashed here or here. And Venmo puts certain types of funds in the Bancorp Bank. Yatta listed just one bank partner on their website, Evolve Bank and Trust.
I signed up for the bank thinking like, this is Yatta Bank. I didn't know about Evolve.
So did you see Yatta as a bank?
Yes, and I was telling people at work about it. I was like, hey, this is really good. And they're like, is it FDIC insured? And I said, here's the website. It says right on the website that it's FDIC insured.
But a few weeks after Yatta users were locked out of their accounts, the FDIC issued this consumer memo, indicating that they were not going to step in here. To explain why, we have to go back to May 2024 when the funds were first frozen. Remember how Yatta was blaming the freeze on an outage with their payment processor? It turned out there was another fintech company involved in this called Synapse Financial Technologies.
I wasn't even aware of Synapse.
I didn't know about Synapse.
I had never heard of Synapse.
But there was someone who had.
He has been covering the whole Synapse collapse.
Jason something?
Jason Mikula.
Jason Mikula.
My name is Jason Mikula. I work both in non-bank fintechs as well as working to start Goldman Sachs' retail bank Marcus. I publish a newsletter called Fintech Business Weekly.
Jason explained to me that Synapse was like a matchmaker for fintech companies and banks.
The United States has a lot of banks. There are a lot of small banks that are struggling to survive. So a company like Synapse would make a pitch that's basically, hey, we can help bring you fintech programs, which in turn are going to bring deposits. Deposits are the lifeblood of any bank. The sort of most desirable form is called sleepy money, money that's sitting in a checking account, meaning it doesn't cost the bank anything.
In other words, an emergency fund, exactly what most people use their Yatta accounts for. And how did Synapse pitch themselves to fintech companies? Well, their biggest investor, Andreessen Horowitz, called them the Amazon Web Services of banking because they made it possible for fintechs to launch quickly. They'd find them the bank partners they need to get around Glass-Steagall, and Synapse would also take care of that pesky technical banking stuff, like, transferring and keeping track of hundreds of millions of customer dollars. So Synapse would collect all the money from their partner Neobanks, not just Yatta, but others like Juno and Mercury, and put it in chartered banks. This is a relatively common business model, and there are other middlemen companies similar to Synapse. But here's where it gets a little crazy. Synapse didn't create a separate bank account for each customer. They simply pooled thousands.
Really, a middleman? 'Cause now you have two. You have the customer, us, the public, and then the actual bank, the charter bank, and then in the between it, you got Yatta and Synapse. So you got two people in between you and the bank, and you don't even know the last two even exist. You're giving your money to Yatta or Chime, and I just saw Cash App as one. Cash App used to be like Zelle, peer-to-peer, where it went from directly from bank to bank, but they've added so many features to their services that they're no longer considered peer-to-peer, and they require having a partner bank because they offer debit cards, checking accounts, savings accounts. And so let's see. Who is Cash App's partner bank? Cash App actually utilizes a few different partner banks depending on the specific service you are using and when your account was open. Sutton Bank, this is Cash App's primary partner. They issue the physical and virtual Cash App cards, the debit cards, and handle the core banking infrastructure for most accounts open after 2020. The Bancorp Bank, North America, they co-issue certain newer card tiers such as the Cash App Visa Debit Flex cards. Wells Fargo, they partner with Cash App to help manage back-end banking services and route transactions. Linking Savings Bank, if you have a legacy Cash App account opened years ago, your direct deposits and account infrastructure might still run through them. How to find your specific bank. If you need to set up direct deposit, and your employer asks for your official bank name, routing number, and account number, you can find that exact assignment right inside the Cash App, right inside the app. So, Wells Fargo I'm familiar with. Bancorp, that sounds familiar if I'm not mistaken. But that's interesting. Okay, so now it makes me really second guess like people that use Cash App and Chime and stuff. Now it makes sense because I actually months ago was getting ready to sign up for a Zelle account, and I didn't go through with it at the time for no particular reason. I was in a rush or something. Then recently somebody needed to send me money and they asked if I had Zelle, but when I went to go sign up for it, the account said the app was no longer accepting new signups through the app. Now you have to sign up through your bank in order to get a Zelle account. So you go to your banking app, you sign up for Zelle, and you do it that way. So Zelle is kind of completely removing themselves as the middle person, even involving signing people up. So now you have to do it through the bank unless you previously did it before. So that's interesting. I wonder how that works if you move from one bank to another with Zelle. So yeah, now it has me second guessing using Cash App and stuff like that. And there's a safe way to use it. I mean, do your due diligence to see who your who your Neobanks. See, now we call it what it is. Cash App, Neobank, Zelle, peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is bank account to bank account. They don't hold your money. But Cash App, Chime, those are neobanks. So you got to find out who their charter banks are and learn more about them if you're going to continue to use them. Yeah, so go learn more about who you're giving your money to. Let's see how much more there is to mine out of this.
Of people's savings together in large FBO accounts or for benefit of accounts.
So we're looking at a bank statement for one of Synapse's FBO accounts at Evolve. A seemingly endless stream of transactions. Payroll, Cash App, Amazon, people paying their Planet Fitness bill for the month. Wow, that's cheap, $10.
So an FBO account is kind of like if there was hundreds of people sharing one bank account.
Yes.
Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Robinhood, Betterment, Chime, and many more neobanks often use these giant pooled accounts to manage customer money. So even if it looks like you have $100 in your Venmo account, it could be held in the same account as thousands of other Venmo users. Only Synapse was keeping track of how much money each person had. At one point, Synapse had contracts with 100 fintech companies, resulting in about 10 million end users. But by late 2023, its biggest partnerships were deteriorating, and in April 2024, it declared bankruptcy. Soon, Synapse's software went offline, causing a freeze on all of these user accounts. And this is the reason why the FDIC did not step in. FDIC insurance only applies when a bank collapses, but Synapse wasn't a bank, and it's not FDIC insured. Yatta isn't either, for that matter. They were claiming the savings accounts were FDIC insured because the money was in Evolve Bank, who is FDIC insured. But Evolve didn't collapse, so no FDIC insurance.
The FDIC is very, very good at resolving failed banks in a way that does not impact depositors. They have a playbook. There is no playbook for the failure of a third-party technology service provider like Synapse.
The implications of this are huge.
That's crazy. So, see, so now there we go again. So, Synapse was the person, Yatta was the person you saw on the platform. Synapse was handling things with their software between Yatta and the bank. But Synapse went bankrupt and they closed their doors. So the software went away. So it's kind of like the CPA walking out and the bank is like, we have the money here, but we don't know whose money is whose. We don't know. We just know money is here. And then Yatta, they're like, well, we know who's who, but we have no access to that bank because we don't have a relationship with the bank. Synapse had the relationship with the bank. So they went away, so now this money is just stuck.
If you use Chime, Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, this applies to you. If any of these companies fail, FDIC insurance will not kick in to protect your funds. While I was reporting this story, I searched for my own FDIC insured savings account on the FDIC website. It wasn't on there, and I realized that my savings are also in a fintech company structured kind of like Yatta. Now, I do trust this company and the partner bank, but how would I know if there's a Synapse-like middleman somewhere in there? And even if I did, how would I vet them?
It's essentially impossible for an average consumer to verify that something like this wouldn't necessarily happen to them. Try to call up Chime or try to call up Bancorp and say, hey, are you meeting all the criteria for this kind of insurance to apply? There's no way for you to really verify that.
But wait, it gets worse. Jason showed me an email between Evolve and Synapse employees leaked to him by an anonymous source in October 2023.
The real jaw-dropping moment was this line here. Evolve's employee emails his counterpart at Synapse and says, the balances tend to differ a couple $100 million on the daily. I'm comparing the Synapse data to FBO for consumer and business users. Are there other Evolve accounts I should take into consideration? And this is in November 2022, years before the collapse and users' funds are frozen, and they're saying we can't reconcile, quote, a couple $100 million on the daily, end quote.
You heard that right. Synapse lumped everyone's money together into big bank accounts and then lost track of a bunch of it. To complicate things even more, Synapse had started moving some users' money to other partner banks, AMG, American Bank, and Lineage. Then, when they went bankrupt, their documents revealed that almost $100 million was actually just missing.
Do you know which bank your money was with?
Evolve. It was on all my statements.
Through the Yatta app, there was an account that appeared to show a bank account with Evolve Bank and Trust.
The account number and routing number were...
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. That's plenty of information. So I think whether you continue using apps like PayPal, who would have known? I guess because you can get a PayPal card. So what it looks like is but a lot of these neobanks used to be peer-to-peer. But to be able to be more competitive and offer more services in which they can charge fees for, other than just transaction fees, they evolved into offering debit cards, things like that, which would be attractive to people who have bad relationships with banks, bad credit, things like that. And again, like I said earlier, it's easy to get these accounts. It's almost no barrier to entry because all you gotta do is sign up. No credit check. And there's no credit check to get a regular bank account either. But if someone has had bad experiences writing checks and things like that, or bad credit, then you're going to have trouble getting a bank account. And bank accounts usually require some sort of deposit right up front. And in order to have no fees, a minimum charge, a minimum monthly balance, or a direct deposit. So there's a lot of give and take with having an actual bank account. So if you enjoyed that, please let me know in the comments if there's something I should have covered or you think I missed in that video. If you want to watch the full video again without my commentary and ad-libs, the channel is in the description below. Go check them out. I think they do wonderful work over there. And if you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, or subscribe. Come back and watch the next one. Appreciate it. Peace.